Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. How's everyone doing in Instagram world? Let's get Dr. Willow. Yes, yes, yes. Happy Tuesday. Hello, hello. There she is. Hi, darling.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I am hanging in there with all of these planets going in a backward direction. How about you?
Right? Happy retro, retro, retro.
Happy
I'm doing
retro,
retro,
everyone.
retro, retro. I'm doing pretty good. I'm moving slow
Yeah,
and being pretty present, taking it super easy.
I think that's really important right now is going slow and, taking a pause and really taking an opportunity and a pause to review and to replenish yourself and to rejuvenate right now because there's just so much shifty energy going on. It's like we're all in the washing machine, right? And we're like, which way are we going?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a bit of a jostle for sure. But I think, no, not I think, I know, I feel. Hi, welcome. So happy
Hi.
to have you here.
Yay.
Um, we're all going through it. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks, the dark night of the soul, the need to release so much, the grief portal that we're in, and now we have this retrograde. So it's all about reviewing, right? Reviewing, and we're all doing it together, and it's so necessary. It's so necessary for our rebirth and for where we're going. And I know that today we're going to talk about some solutions. Solutions is what I love, that can help us navigate these. The world's on fire, you know
Love
our
it.
souls are on fire. It's like,
Yeah.
what helps us to navigate this precious and pivotal time in consciousness within ourselves and within this planet. So,
Yeah. So on that note, one of the things that happens when we're in a period of time like this where we don't really know which way is up and we don't know where our feet are going to be landing, and we're just kind of in this like facing a lot of uncertainty, facing a lot of unknowns. Many souls on the planet are facing that right now. And a lot of loss, a lot of deep loss. So it's just a big contribution to this unknown journey, which ultimately we all are on an unknown journey. Even if we do think we have it all stabilized and all together, it can all just disappear in a hot second. So one of the things that happens is we feel unsafe. We go into this place of like, shit, I'm not safe. I'm not secure. I don't have my feet underneath me. I don't have stability in my external environment, my external life. And when we don't feel safe, we default to a certain way of protecting ourselves. And everyone defaults to a slightly different way of protecting themselves. Some of us get up our dukes and we fight, and some of us run away, like we flee. And some of us just like sit there kind of frozen and we just don't know what the fuck to do. And so
right.
all of these styles of protecting ourselves, they are based on your very first trauma in your life, which was usually for everyone is sometime in between the time you were in utero to the time you were about 6, 7 years old. You experienced some kind of trauma. Maybe it's an overt trauma, like my father molested me, or maybe it's a more subtle trauma, like I didn't get my diapers changed. So the traumas, it doesn't really matter what it was. You went to a place where you didn't feel safe. And maybe trauma sometimes is the wrong word, but it's this place where you're like, shit, how am I going to keep myself safe in this situation? And so depending on where you were at in your developmental stage in those first years of life, like, did you have language? Did you have words or not? And so you're going to develop different styles of protecting yourself based on your development when you experience that first trauma. And then what you do is you just stamp it out for the rest of your life. Like anytime you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this, this doesn't feel safe. You do that. You default to that pattern. So your pattern, your protective pattern, it's not who you are. It's just what you default to when you don't feel safe. So different than the Enneagram, different than astrology. It's not your propensity. It's just something for you to actually learn from and to grow from. And once you've identified what your pattern is, there's 5 of them. This is all based on Wilhelm Reichian psychology way back from the 20s. He studied with Freud. It's a whole big study. And when you understand what yours is, there's a book. It's called The 5 Personality Patterns. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I mean, it should be at the top of your book list. It'll change all of your closest relationships. It'll change your intimate relationships, absolutely. And it'll change the way you show up when you feel unsafe. And one of the most, triggering places in life is intimate relationships, money and intimacy, right? And so those 2 places, our patterns are really going to be up for us. And so once you identify and you understand what that pattern is, then you can start to work with it, and you can start to do the opposite of what you've always done so that you can get a different outcome. So if you want to learn more about what these patterns are in a quick, easy, fun way, then tune into our podcast today. Me and Leah Piper, our podcast is Sex Reimagined, and we've got a show on there all about these 5 different personality patterns. And it is going to absolutely change your life when you understand and know what these are and know how to be with somebody else who's in pattern. Because the truth is 90% of the people on the planet are in pattern 90% of the time. So it's up to us as individuals to learn how to get out of pattern and to live outside of pattern so that we can help those who are in pattern. So that's what I'll say about that for now.
Yeah. And beautiful, beautiful to bring this to the table. And what my intuition says in this moment, and something I've been playing with too, is this concept of breaking pattern. And so what you're speaking to are these 5 core kind of assimilations of wounds that cast a map for how we cope or don't cope in the rest of our life. And so there's a couple of things that came up in response to it. First of all, breaking pattern, right? And the assimilation of breaking pattern, it's not always easiest to go to the core first. Like, okay, I have an avoidance pattern. Like, if someone's self-aware and has an emotional EQ that's allowing them to understand their personality trait of avoidance, let's say. And they're like, okay, every time the shit goes down, I turn, run, bury my head, pretend everything, whatever their avoidance technique is. It's really intense to always go to the core matter. So my heart says, what if you start breaking pattern in regular daily activities? To become aware of the patterns, right? So what if you drive to work in a different way? And what if you set your morning practice to be a little different? Especially those who habitualize patterns because they're survival, right? It's survival mechanisms. We only feel safe if we're grooving in that groove of the record and patterning in that way. So my sense is like, start breaking patterns everywhere. Like the sacred rebel in me likes to just like mix it up all the time, but I'm an Aquarian. We're Aquarians, so we like to break the patterns. That's part of our purpose here on the planet. But I also wanted to go back to Spirit had shown me some time ago about that one of our first wounds is the moment that our umbilical cords are cut and the way of which we cut them in our society. And I thought that was so interesting because we have a perception that we've been cut from the only source that we ever knew in this life. So I think this is such a valuable topic because we can see where these patterns emerge. I mean, the entirety of planet Earth is set in a sequence of patterns, right? It's how nature is created, this patterning, but it's how quickly are you willing to pivot from the patterns that have been set that give people the opportunity to evolve and to become something new.
Absolutely. Yeah, this opportunity really is to look beyond what you've always known as a way of keeping yourself safe and to do something different because also the way that you've been keeping yourself safe is also blocking you from that which your heart truly desires. And only you can overcome, only you can look at your patterns, only you can change these protective styles, only nobody can do it for you. And so in my work with couples, with people who are working on their sexuality, people who are working at these very deep roots of themselves, like first, second, third chakra, you know, confidence and sexuality and creativity, and just even being here on this planet at this time and being committed to that. These patterns are, you know, understanding how you run your protective style. It's just absolutely going to change everything in your life. So I highly recommend tuning into that podcast episode today. I think you'll learn a lot. We are going to be doing a whole 7-week course that follows. We'll start that in end of September, early October. And then we've also got a free masterclass on that, on all this work. So it's something that most people don't think about, don't know about. It lives in the unconscious realm. So let's bring it to consciousness. And I love that you brought that piece forward, Lisa, about being cut from the umbilical cord, because, you know, in indigenous cultures, they would not cut super, the umbilical would stay pulsing and going, and the life force energy would be going into that infant until it stopped pulsing. They chew it. You know? They didn't have it, so they would chew it. So it's really, it's an interesting thing in our culture and in our society, how we do get cut off from source, cut off from that which was feeding us and nourishing us and keeping us safe.
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge these things, because I feel like sometimes the dive into self-actualization, into consciousness, into becoming more and more aware, it can bring up a lot of this, like, oh, I did it wrong, or, you know, like, where's the default button of, like, I should know more, I could know more. You know, it's easy to be hard on oneself, but I think it's important to understand that we came in to get these lessons and this programming, and that everyone's doing this together. And it's like the more rapidly we acknowledge and then receive the support to create new ways, new patterns, new ways of being, the more rapidly we all get to ascend and come back to our authentic blueprint, which is that of love. Fear is an illusion in this matrix, and we have become very attached to it. And there's so much generating our fear right now, and our patterns keep us locked in that lower density. And this is an opportunity to be able to identify, to be able to reclaim, and to be able to expand greatly through this breaking of pattern, through this recognizing of pattern breaking and then reclaiming. There's all these possibilities out there that are just lying in wait, because we are stuck in a loop, and we don't need to loop anymore. We are infinite beings, and love will always guide us home to the reclamation of the true essence of who we are.
Absolutely.
Amen, sister. Thank you for doing this.
That's right.
Beautiful work. Yeah. So what's come to my heart as something that would be a beautiful free gift to drop in our conversation is I have this Source to Gaia meditation that I created some time ago, which is a recording umbilically into Mama Gaia to help us get back into that source and to resource ourselves to abundance and pulling in all we desire through that womb space into you know, this earth into us to receive it. So I'm going to drop that. I don't think it's in my link tree right now, but I'll drop it. And tune into Willow's podcast. I mean, there's so many episodes. I was privileged to be one of your contributors to that. It's epic. It's beautiful. It's touching lots of people's lives. And tune in to what Willow and Leah are creating. And you know, I think that you're bringing such a valuable piece of the puzzle so people can be sovereign and reconnected and recommune and break those patterns. Everything we want is just outside of our comfort zone. So we have to find mechanisms and tools for expanding to what's familiar. That's it.
And everything we want is also inside of us to have. That's why there's such a yearning for it. That's why there's such a depth of emotion around it and a fear of not getting it, because it's in us to have it. You know, the things that are not in us to have, they don't affect us emotionally. And so if you can, you know, even if you don't learn about the 5 personality patterns or the way of protecting yourself and the strategies, if you can just drop out of your head and drop into your heart and find that field of coherent heart space that is universal, then you're not in pattern. You know, you're either in pattern or you're in presence. So find your way to presence and things will change.
Dropping from the mind into the heart and bringing that heart into the womb, which is the space of all creation. Heart womb cohesion, right? It is all the cool kids are doing that to create these days, you know. And
even
also
if
I
you
want
don't
to
have
say,
a womb, you still have
even
an
if
energetic womb.
you have an energetic womb, I believe the second chakra is the womb of all creation, that the wombed ones hold a deeper well of resonance and creation because we create life. But we're all creating life in some form or another through the essence of our womb space that exists in the second chakra. But I want to say too that Spirit's been saying for some time you would not have a desire within you if it was not already alive. So just to amplify what you're saying, you wouldn't want for something if you didn't have the imprint of it already existing within you. You just wouldn't even think about it.
Exactly.
You definitely wouldn't feel it about
Exactly.
it. We're such amazing creatures being humans. I mean, it's so fucking mind-blowing how complex we are. We're really blessed to be on this journey of humans at this time, and we're really blessed to do it together and to walk each other home. Yeah. So check out our stuff.
I'm blessed to do it with you, sister. Yeah.
I'm blessed
Check
to do
it out. We'll see you next
sister.
Tuesday.
Love you all. Have a blessed day. Bye for now.